Hi, hello friends. Welcome back to Night Court Narrative. My name is Elvish. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen. My microphone's going to be a little bit weird. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to roll with it. And if you hear anything funky, no, you don't. My microphone has been literally giving me an aneurysm for the past 2 months, and we are almost there. I was actually kind of thinking of setting up like a little donation thingy to see maybe if possibly we could get my microphone fixed sooner, but of course, you know, I never want to be that person, but maybe we'll see. But today we are discussing the February wrap-up. I did read 31 books for this month. Granted, I will be honest with you, one book ended up taking almost an entire week to read, so I did end up going and picking 2 Amazon original series, which consisted it was 2 Amazon original series, which consisted of 18 books in total. Each book was between maybe 60 and 100 pages long. They were novellas, but it definitely helped skyrocket my reads for this month. And it was kind of nice palette cleansers. I have been wanting to read these series already for the past 2 years, and I have yet to read them. So I was like, you know what? I need some quick little books. I am tired because the book I read before that, which I'll get into, was 1,200 pages long. And I was like, you know what? I read 500 to like 800 page books every fucking day. I need a break. So they were really good palette cleansers. So I definitely did that. But yeah, I think this month was really interesting book wise. I think I had some books that came out of left field. I think that there are some books that I thought were going to be better and they absolutely were not. I don't know, this month was quite interesting. But yes, so let's begin. First and foremost, I did read Murder at World's End. This was a book that my boyfriend actually picked out. Every once in a while, it's not very often, but every once in a while I ask him to choose a book for me. I either ask him to choose from my already pre-existing TBR, or if we're at a store, or if whatever the case, I kind of give him the options. Like, he gets kind of overwhelmed if I give him too many. So like, for example, if we're at, let's say, Target, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, I go to a specific genre. Like if I say, like, let's say fantasy, I go only to the fantasy aisle and I pick the like, okay, if fantasy has like 6 shelves, I pick 2 or 3 shelves out of it, and I give him the option to like choose between this many, and he'll pick whatever book he thinks sounds cool, looks cool from the cover, whatever. And without question, I do not read the synopsis, so I just buy the book and I go with it. So this was definitely one of his recommendations. This falls back into the early 1900s, where we have, you know, viscounts, lords, all of that. We do hire a ex-con, if you will, to work as one of the servers with the Viscount. Unfortunately, the Viscount does end up murdered, and it's basically like a game of Clue, but in book old-fashioned terms. And I gave this one a 3-star rating. I did not make a video on this one. I gave this one a 3-star rating. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think this book was the worst. I found it quite enjoyable, but it felt incredibly slow, and like the plot, whenever we did get it, it didn't twist. There was no twist. It was just there. I felt like towards the end it was mainly just words on paper rather than actually telling a story. I also feel like the older lady, she is the female main character, she is, I think, in her 80s maybe. She was just written in such an obnoxiously loud way. She was written with so much personality that she left absolutely none for any of the other characters. And I don't necessarily want to say that the writer can't handle more than one character at a time, but she was written with so much personality that it kind of drained everyone else out in the book, and you couldn't really decipher necessarily who was who. So I don't know. I really wanted more from the book. The beginning of the book was absolutely amazing. I really thought that I was going to enjoy it a little bit more than I did. But the more that the book went on, it was just kind of boring. But yeah, 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. Next is a book that I am absolutely sad to talk about. This one is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I have had this book on my physical TBR for 2.5 years now. I have wanted to read this book so obnoxiously bad. And when I tell you, it was beyond anticipated. I could not wait to read it. However, I ended up giving this book a 1-star rating. I did not enjoy it whatsoever. I found it so dry. I found it so overly dry. And you know, I was expecting it to be a really over-the-top cute romance exploring topics and like groups of people that we don't necessarily get in books. But yeah, of course, we still have the same old book talk stereotype guy. Of course, he's the nerd, the one that nobody wants, but he has a sharp, chiseled jaw with chiseled abs. And I'm just like, okay, first of all, no. And I'm not saying it wasn't possible, but you're telling me that an overly competitive chess player has the face card to end the world and an overly sharp six-pack? Like, hello? And yeah, no, I understand it's possible, but like it's not that possible. I also really hate the amount of references she uses throughout the book. I do get it. She wants to make sure that every generation feels included in her writing, but forcing cringe and completely overused references on the mass is just absolutely fucking killing me. The inner monologue on this book too, like for the female main character, was just as bad. It was very much millennial attempting to be Gen Z in the writing. So she would attempt to make the inner monologue and the little references sound super Gen Z, like quirky and like cute, but you can tell it was like an older millennial just trying to stick with the times. And you know, as a millennial myself, I cringed. Lastly, on this book, the female main character gave nothing. She spent the entire 30% that I did read, I did end up DNFing this, bitching and moaning about her life problems and how much she hated chess and refuses to go back. But of course, she's fantasizing over a chess guy. And I did look on Goodreads. A lot of the reviews that did finish the book, they literally said that she gave no explanation on why she hates chess so much until the last 10% of the book. But mind you, every single paragraph talked about, I hate chess, I could never go back to chess because of what happened in chess. And like, I literally mean every single paragraph. So if a chapter has 10 paragraphs, every paragraph in that one chapter, I can't go back because oh my god, it happened. And I'm just like, bro, like, sit the fuck down. I am so fucking fed up. It was 1 star. I DNF'd it. I could not. The next 4 books, I'm actually going to have a video on them, so I'm not going to really talk about them too thoroughly in this video. But I did read the entire Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. I read The Housemaid, The Housemaid's Secret, The Housemaid is Watching, and The Housemaid's Wedding. I did read all of them. I am trying to get through every Frida McFadden book. I am currently on number 20. So that is, yeah. The ratings for this series actually fluctuated. I believe I have a 4, a 3, a 3.5, and maybe another 4. So the ratings for me actually fluctuated. I really enjoyed the first book. The other books, not so much. It kind of just felt a little bit too drawn on. I really do feel like the series was overly repetitive, and I do think that Frida does an absolutely amazing job writing. However, in my opinion now, after seeing this, I don't think that she can sustain 1 or 2 characters for multiple books. I do feel like it does get a little bit too repetitive and boring. But I did read all of the Housemaids. I did read Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas. I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I really loved Credence by Penelope Douglas. Do my morals align with what happened in Credence? No. But did I enjoy that book? And did I enjoy the very creepy and disgusting spice? I sure as fuck did. Do I want to actually reread it because I liked it so much? And did I give it an almost 5 stars? I did. To be honest with you, I would have given it a 5 stars, but I felt bad because every single person was giving it below that. So I gave it a 4 star, but I would have given Credence a 5. But I did read Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas. Obviously, it is one girl with the 5 brothers. I gave it a 2 star. Let that just be for itself. Yeah. The only thing I will say, and this might be a little harsh, I do think like this is a very horribly written, very rushed young adult fan fiction of The Ritual. That's all I will say. Next. Next is Last Scene. It is a little thriller novel. I actually gave this one a 4-star rating. It was quite interesting. Oh, my eye itches. Hold on. Oh, okay. It was very interesting. The writing, this is from J.T. Ellison. I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue who that is. I don't even know what other books they have. I am so sorry, I have yet to look them up. But I did find that their writing style was actually addictive. It wasn't the most life-changing thing, but the entire book did amazing with making you question everything you were reading. But it fell flat, I would say, like the last maybe 5 chapters. I felt the ending was anticlimactic and pretty rushed. It took away from the thriller aspect and gave sloppy answers rather than a truly developed end. I really did enjoy it. I did. I know a lot of people say that it was an absolute wild ride, but I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't know. It's one of those as well that how do I want to say that? It's one of those as well where like the FMC, she peaked as like a forensic officer, and she's now doing cases on her own, and then obviously the FBI is like, bro, you can't do that. So she's like, well, can I come back? And they're like, but if you come back, you're not like gonna leave again, so you're gonna come back. And so she's like, bet. So then she ends up coming back and she does like more work. Yeah. I don't know how to explain this book, to be completely honest. I feel like if I explain this book any further, it'll just give away the entire plot, and I really liked it. I really think that it'd be good if you would go read it, but I gave it a 4 star. It's fine. Would I recommend it? Sure. But is it the most life-changing thing in the world? No, not really. Speaking of Freida McFadden, I did read Dear Debbie. This was maybe a week after it had already come out. I did give this one a 4-star rating. This one was okay. It wasn't interesting enough, but it didn't blow me away. The plot twist was nice, but not insane, but it was good to devour in one sitting. RFNC, Yeah, she needs therapy. Her bratty kids need a swift kick in their angsty ass, but you know, it's basically just one of those books where Debbie, obviously the main character, she holds a blog where people come and ask her for marital advice, and instead of giving actual decent marital advice, she starts giving advice of unaliving their husbands. And some people take, like, one advice she did was to divorce their husband, and she did. And so now obviously her life is spiraling out of control. She lost her job, her husband lost his job, her husband hates her fucking blog. Yeah, so basically she just tries to get her life back together. It was interesting. I don't think it was Frida's best work, but it was interesting for the read. I just kind of wish it was a little bit better. I do think, however, and I don't mean this in a shitty way, but I do think that Frida might need to take a little break from writing and releasing books every 3 to 4 months, because it's kind of starting to show in the quality of her books. Or that could possibly be because I have read 19 of her books and I'm starting book 20 from her, so maybe I'm just tired of her writing as a whole. But I don't know, I really love her books. I just think maybe the writing is becoming a little bit repetitive. Yeah, I don't know. Next is another DNF. I think I only DNF 2 books this month. I think I've only DNF 3 books altogether this year. This one is If She Knew by Blake Pearson. Oh my god, I would much rather chew on an old tire than ever read another word from this book. The only thing I can give you, I'm going to read you my Goodreads review. That is all I can give you, because if I say my actual thoughts, I'm gonna be really fucking mean about it. This book was trash. And this is like a 10-book series, if not more. Like, this book is trash. So here's my Goodreads review, if you are curious. 1 star, DNF, obviously. Do you want an over-the-top drinking game? It'll leave you completely shit-faced and blacked out drunk over the next 5 years. Now, obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but perfect. Dip your only tongue, in a shot every single time you read the following: retired, agent, FBI, former, and firearm. Now, you may be thinking, why not take the full sip? Oh, honey. Baby child. Honey. You'll be on your ass within the first 2 chapters of the book. This book was heavily repetitive and lacked every bit of substance that set the book apart from a paperweight. The plot was almost non-existent. Covered up by Kate talking about how she is a former retired 55-year-old FBI agent with a firearm. And oh, fuck me, I almost forgot. Did you know that Kate was an FBI agent? Fuck, now you do. The twist was so lackluster, I almost forgot key points alongside 98% of the book. Mind you, I DNF'd this book with 1 chapter to go. I literally physically could not read the last chapter. I think it was even the epilogue. I could not. I don't fucking care what happened to this goddamn character. I don't give a fuck. And I cannot express that enough. I don't give a fuck. This book was so fucking trash. You know what? No, I'm curious. This book was so fucking trash. And then I don't really speak to her very often, but when I spoke to my mom the other day, she was like, oh my god, have you read this series? I'm like, are we reading the same series? Oh, you want to make it so much worse? You want to make it worse? You want to make it worse? You want to make it worse? It's a 16-book series. 16. I'm gonna fucking die. No, don't recommend this. Just throw it away. Nobody cares about this fucking book. Oh my god. Next is actually one that's quite interesting. I did give this one a 4-star rating. It is The First Witch of Boston. I think I'm trying to like sit up, but god damn. I do think this book was quite interesting. It is held around the Salem witch trials, and it kind of goes through obviously the first witch to be I guess persecuted on or in the Salem witch trial. Well, that was rude. That was so rude. The Salem witch trials. I'm not, oh, I gave this one a 3.5, excuse me, I forgot. Goodreads doesn't allow you to do half stars, so I did end up rounding up. But I do think the only thing that lowered this from a 4 to 3.5 is the amount of smut in the book. And don't get me wrong, I do love myself some smut. I do love when books have smut, but on a side like derail moment, I do think that smut is becoming a little bit out of control. Now, if you are reading a dark fantasy, dark romance, or even, let's just say even a romance book, I understand that there are going to be spice moments in the books. Romance, I feel like there should be a little bit less because it is not dark. It is not a part of the dark genre, but I do feel like anyone and everyone is adding spice to their books, and I just really think that it's getting a little bit out of hand. And I think that in this book personally, it ruined it. It did. I thought that this book was going to be maybe a 4.5, and then it went down to a 4, and then obviously we ended on a 3. But yeah, like I just felt like the plot was really good enough to be able to withhold itself without being weighed down by the smutty scenes that did absolutely nothing to fuel the actual plot. I really enjoyed the storyline though. I didn't really see an issue with the writing like some other reviewers have said, but it was decent. I just wish we literally did not derail into smut every single chapter. I really think that would have saved the book. And like it's like I said, the smut had nothing to do to fuel the plot. Like if you think of romance, the smut will fuel the plot to like maybe they're like angsty towards one another and they're kind of like sidestepping one another, and then they bump into each other, they have a smut scene, and then the next they're talking and on a date, and then one more smut scene, and then they're together finally. And the smut in this book did absolutely, it was just there. Like there was nothing to fuel it to keep the book going or anything, so it was kind of disappointing to see like actual roadblocks. Like if you would think of like actual, I can't say it any difference, actual roadblocks. Next, oh, I did actually end up DNFing this. Okay, so next we have Lies in Lavender by Ashley J. Vinson. I did find this book on TikTok. I ended up coming across the author, and she was like, can I convince you guys to read my novel? I don't even know if it's her debut novel, but she's like, can I convince you guys to read my novel? It hadn't come out yet. I think there was a week left for the date, but she ended up taking over my For You page. So I'm like, you know what? Absolutely. I went on Kindle. I think it was like $2. So I ended up buying it. I waited. I gave it a 2-star, but I did end up soft DNFing it. I do, however, think, and I'm going to say this with as much respect as humanly possible. I mean this so respectfully. I think the only reason why her book has such a high rating, you could kind of tell it's all of her friends and family giving the book a 5-star rating. I don't think personally it is 5-star worthy, Does that mean someone might not find it 5-star? Absolutely not. There is always someone that will like the book. The book will always call to someone, but it does look like a lot of friends and family, so definitely going into it, keep that in mind. I ended up DNFing at 22%. The plot was super interesting. I really did love the love triangle, the fantasy, the forbidden aspect. I'm really curious to see how the book ends, but I don't know. The writing was unfortunately super juvenile and incredibly repetitive. There are several paragraphs in the book where the author has to repeat herself several times in order to get her point across. One point of this, I did mark it down. It says, and I quote, "Turning just enough to swipe my arms across his desk, everything that placed atop went flying. God damn it," I shouted. Papers went flying everywhere. There's no reason why you should have said in the same sentence, in the same breath, that papers and everything atop went flying. I understand, because you said it the first time, you made your point the first time that everything went flying. You don't need to express it again. And I know you're probably thinking like, Elvish, that's not really that big of a deal, but it's in just the 22%, it happened at least 15% of that 22%. So it was very frequent. It just became a little bit overbearing and became a little bit hard to focus on what I was reading. The dialogue was also super robotic, in my opinion. It didn't flow like a natural conversation would, but rather it felt like the characters were waiting for whomever is speaking to stop so that they could have their turn to speak. And I realize it is a book, but if you read any other book, naturally it isn't that way. You even have it where authors have it or can write where it seems like people are cutting over one another and speaking, if that makes sense. And so I feel like this book was a little bit too robotic for my liking, but I really did like it. You have the female main character. She is stuck between two lands, let's just say. One is, she's supposed to be married to, I guess, the next king in line, but he's kind of a scumbag. The other one is actually her true love. She attempts to go and run off with that guy, but of course the guy that she is betrothed to keeps drugging her, making her forget her memories, and that is kind of where I'm at. I'm in the part where I think she's been drugged twice now, but that's where I'm at. It is very interesting. I do think that the plot is very interesting. The characters are pretty likable. I mean, not the asshole, of course, but that's the point. The characters are very likable. I just think it is a very juvenile book. And I'm so sorry, but I did give it a 2-star. I do want to say it's a soft 2-star, so maybe if I'm bored enough, I'll go back and reread it, because I am very interested on how it ends. So yeah. Next, ooh, I loved this book. Next, this book was actually recommended by Lore. She does, I think I've told you guys this multiple times, Lore is a fantastic author, but she does these like everyday vlogs, and they are so cozy. Oh my god, side derail, they are so cozy. I look forward to them every single month. I think she does like one vlog every month, sometimes every other month, but they are so cozy. They're usually between like 30 and 40 minutes long, and if you're thinking, bro, I'm not sitting in a 45-minute vlog, you don't notice. You literally do not notice. You turn it on, you sit back, and you just lose control of time. But in her recent vlog, she did say that she read Catching His Eye by Emily Antoinette, and she described it. It was so good, the way that she described it. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And literally mid-vlog, I went and I bought it. I bought it on Kindle. It is $2.99 on Kindle. It was so good. It is a little quick 90-page novella. I did give this book a 5-star. Unapologetically, I will not apologize for my 5-star. I actually went on her website too. When I get paid, I'm buying the signed version so I could have the signed physical copy because I loved it that much. But basically, you have Rin. He is this nerdy, hot Cyclops. He's desperate for like love. But he always goes on this website where he has like a cam girl that kind of like talks to him and all of that. But you know, the cam girl, she's kind of, you know, she kind of has some eyes for him as well. So unfortunately, but fortunately for us, his cat does end up making it a little bit awkward and requests a private call with her. So they get in a private call and it is so cute. It's spicy. They do end up, you know, getting together at the end, obviously. It is so cute. I think the only thing I hated is that I wanted more. I wanted it to be like a 500-page book. Like, I want to know every detail about their relationship. But you do get the dual POV. It's really nice. I loved this book so much. I am not, like I said, I'm not apologizing for liking this book, and I'm not necessarily one to like monster romance. I'm kind of just now getting into monster romance with the Dusk Bride series and I guess this, so this is quite new to me. But if you could imagine me just like blushing and like pushing my hair behind my ear, oh, this was just so cute. I mean, granted it's only 100 pages long, but I read this in 1 hour. I was just like, as soon as I picked up my Kindle and I started reading, I was gone, baby. I was like, this shit is fucking good. I loved it. This probably, thinking about it now, I don't want to say anything because I might have more that I forgot, but I think this was my favorite read of February. You know, I'm not gonna apologize. Next is a book I don't want to talk about, but I will talk about it a little bit. This is Alchemized by Sin Lin Yu. This book is 1,200 pages long. It is a beast of a book. I don't know what to say. So I gave this book a 2.5 star. I think this book relies heavily on interpretation rather than actual explanation from the author, and I relied heavily on study guides to help get me through this book. Alchemize is a book that I had to quite literally restart 8 different times, and I will shamelessly say that I'm not embarrassed that I had to restart it 8 different times, but the first few times I would get to chapter 3, and something with chapter 3, maybe it's just me, but like halfway through chapter 3, I just really feel like the mood in the book and the writing just changes completely. It goes from being able to fully understand everything that's happening, and then mid chapter 3, something happens in the book that I still, after finishing it, I still don't know what it is. But it just makes the book almost impossible to understand, in my opinion. So the first few times I got to chapter 3, the next time I got to like chapter 5, and then the next time I reread it, got to chapter 9, and then I reread it again, got only to chapter 5 again, and I stopped reading it for about a month, maybe 2 months at this point. But I really I felt very defeated by this book, and I never want to feel defeated by something, especially that I have on my bookshelf. So I did end up picking it up again. I went incredibly slow. I did attempt to read it physically, and I just could not comprehend what I was reading for some reason. I think reading it physically, I think I was already overwhelmed by the fact that I had read, for example, chapter 1 and 2 7 times previously, so I just got very overwhelmed. So I ended up putting on the audiobook, and mind you, if you guys know, I listen to audiobooks between 1.8 speed and 2.4 speed depending on who the narrator is. I had the audiobook down to 1.3 speed, so it was a very gruesome listen because I don't listen that slow, if that makes sense, but I had to slow it down so much. But something happens in the book. I don't want to talk about it because I feel like, I'm just gonna be real, the world we live in nowadays is very heavy on everyone has an opinion, but if you have an opinion on something that someone hates or like that someone truly loves, then they shit on you for it. And I don't feel like getting canceled over just not liking a book. So I don't necessarily know how to speak on this book, but I do feel like the first 15 chapters are very interesting, very, very, very interesting. I absolutely love the dystopian world. I love the writing. It is very hard to follow the writing, but I do really like it. However, I do feel like after chapter 15 the book fell apart completely, in my opinion. After chapter 15 we somehow go back in time. It does get a little bit boring again. I would say maybe around like chapter 20 to 25-ish it gets interesting again, and then it falls apart again, and it keeps doing this throughout the book. And I know that people are gonna shit on me for this. I don't find any of my answers or any of my questions answered. From chapter 1 through 15 I have so many questions regarding her and her imprisonment and her basically being turned into a weapon and all that shit, but I don't feel like us going back in time answered any of those questions. I actually feel like it raised even more questions, and I don't see how this book resolves in a way to be satisfying. I also don't see how people, and again, everyone has their own opinion, but I don't see how everyone is saying that this is the best book they ever read in their entire life. I don't see that, and I'm sorry, but I think max this book was only ever going to get maybe a 3.5 star from me. The beginning of the book, if you do chapter 1 through 15, 4 star easily. After that it just went downhill, and I relied a lot on study guides to help me kind of understand what I was reading a little bit, but I don't know, I didn't really like it. I felt like it was too drawn out. 1,200 pages was a little bit too long for this book. I feel like this book would have been better as maybe like a 400 or 500 page book. I do think that there were way too many descriptions and way too many words for what was actually put on paper. So yeah, that's just my opinion. I just think it was a little bit too drawn out. It was not my favorite, but that is okay. Up next is the 3 series I talked about. One of the series is the, let me do, one of them, I should just pull up Amazon, that would be so much better. Yeah, let me pull up Amazon. That will be so much easier on mine. Okay, so this is the first series is a 12-book series. It is the Improbable Meet Cute Second Chance series. This is an Amazon original series where every single book has a completely different author. Some books have the same author, so I think there's 2 Christina Lauren books in here, and I think there might be 2 like of another. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but we have In this series, we have Accidentally Yours, Time Will Tell, Second Act Romance, A Play for Love, Death to Valentine's Day, Valentine's Slay, and then we also have the Expectation to the Rule, Worst Wingman Ever, Rosie and the Dreamboat, Drop Cover and Hold On, With Any Luck, and Royal Valentine. That is the one series. All of these books are basically the same thing. I did have a few surprise books out of here, but I also did have a few that were like really, really bad and like made me really wish that I never read this series ever. But just going down the line super quick, just to give you, I'm gonna be looking down, so it might look weird. Accidentally Yours was a 3.5. Time Will Tell was a 4. Second Act Romance and A Play for Love were both 5 stars. Absolutely amazing. Death to Valentine's Day was a 3.5 star. The Navessa Allen one, Valentine's Slay, was 4 star. I then have The Expectation to the Rule was 5 star. Worst Wingman Ever was 4 star. Rosie and the Dreamboat, 3.5 star. Drop, Cover, and Hold On was 3 star. With Any Luck was 1 star, and Royal Valentine was 2 star. So we are all over the board with this entire series. The few that were really, really good, I have Second Act Romance and A Play for Love. They were really, really cute. One of them was theater related. You know, they're on like Broadway or some shit, and they end up getting together through that. Another one, A Play for Love. Let me see. A Play for Love was really cool. You know, he wanted another chance in the acting world, so he ends up coming and does everything he can to get himself aligned with her life. So he ends up becoming a teacher at the location, and yeah, it's like theater related. It's really cute. The only exception to the rule was so fucking cute. It starts off like the first 60% of the book is only told through email. Of course, they don't know anything about one another. They email for 10 years, not knowing that they're actually in the same town, in the actual same school. They do find out, he finds out before her, and when they do learn of it, they end up getting together. It was super cute. Some honorable mentions. Rosie and the Dreamboat, I thought that was really cute. It was kind of, the plot itself was boring, but the writing was really cool. She is stuck in a spa machine, let's just say like a tanning bed, just so you can have a visual. She's stuck in a tanning bed, and you have her cunty little sister and the guy that's trying to get her out, like the little firefighter that's trying to get her out. And of course, you know, they're talking through the whole thing, and they start falling for each other, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Drop, Cover, and Hold On, that one was a little bit interesting too. You have this asshole baker. He owns a bakery, and the woman that goes in there all the time, she's like, you know what, I'm never going back because he's such an asshole. Ends up going back. He ends up having a thing for her, saved and made all of her favorite like pastries and donuts and everything for Valentine's Day. They ended up talking. They got in a little earthquake, so they're kind of stuck in store a little bit, and it was really cute. It was a really, really cute read. I did like it. We have Valentine's Slay by Navessa Allen. This one was cute. I think I talked about it a little bit in the last one, but I think I talked about it in the last one, but a woman gets buried alive, and they kind of go on a little hunt to find out who not killed, but like who attempted to kill her, and it was a really, really cute book. Unfortunately, I can't give too much information about these because they are so short. One wrong word will give away the entire book, so I can't really do that. But yeah, I think the overall rating for this series was maybe a 3.5, with the exception of some. And two left. The next one is another little series. I do think this is a 6-book series. It's another Amazon series, but we have... I am trying to hurry up. I am shaking so bad. I need to take my iron. I have not eaten. It is 1 o'clock. I have not eaten all day. I haven't had water all day. I am shaking like a chihuahua. We have Falling, Spicy Little Curse, Space Vampire, Beautiful Nightmare, and My Boyfriends Are All Monsters. Falling had a 1 star. It was absolutely garbage. Spicy Little Curse was 3 stars. Space Vampire, surprisingly enough, was really good. I gave that one a 5 star. Beautiful Nightmare was 3 stars, and My Boyfriends Are All Monsters is 1 star. This one was actually my least favorite series. I think the overall like average rating was maybe 1.5, 2. I did not enjoy the series at all. Space Vampire is the only one that's actually worth talking about, but it's basically this human woman gets abducted by aliens and they treat her like an animal. The vampire on ship ends up breaking out, so everyone dips, everyone leaves her, so she's alone. She's like, okay, well, what the fuck? So she's all alone. She ends up going to figure out what's going on, runs into a man, doesn't know that that is the vampire that everyone is scared of, and of course he doesn't even know what he is, so he doesn't know to what extent, like, why everyone is scared. And it is a really, really cool, quirky little fun read. It kind of gave me vibes of My Roommate is a Vampire. If you remember that series, I really, really loved that series. This one gave that vibe. It was so adorable. It was so cute. I really actually liked that book, and that was the book that I was dreading the most. I don't do space very well. So like some space books just really fall flat for me, but I really, really did enjoy that book. Lastly, unfortunately, this is... Okay, I am so sorry. Apparently my mic stopped working, so it did not record the last 10 minutes. I can't even begin to tell you what I said in the last 10 minutes, but a quick summary of it, because it was very long-winded. Unfortunately, I have yet to finish this book, but I am currently reading Night and the Moth. So far, I do find this book a little bit boxy. We do jump around plot points quite often without it being a little bit smooth sailing, and then a few chapters later, they finally show how they ended up there. So it is a little bit of a sporadic read at the moment. I do really, really enjoy this book so far, so I think I am going to end up giving this a 4-star rating, but I have yet to finish it. I am going to finish it tonight, so I might input a video of my final thoughts. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Apparently my mic just, like I said, I keep having issues with it and it keeps cutting out, and I literally lost over 10 minutes worth of talking about The Night and the Moth, and so I really can't. Lastly, the only thing I will say before my mic decides to be an asshole again, I really hope that you guys like these types of videos. I really do like them as well. My favorite book of this month was Catching His Eye by Emily Antoinette. And even though I didn't do one for 2025, if you guys remember, I do the best of the best for 2020, like every year. Which basically entails I pick my book that I like the most out of each month, and at the end of the year I compile them into a video and make them fight for the best book of 2026. Right now I have 3 of them. I have Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, I have Ferris in the Forest by Laura Grant, and I have Catching His Eye by Emily Antoinette. And of course there will be more throughout the year compiled together, and they will fight and battle for the spot of best book of 2026 in my personal opinion. So that's definitely going to be interesting. And lastly, like I said, I do hope that you like these longer winded videos. They are very fun to make, and it's really nice to see a little bit more behind the scenes of what I do outside of the podcast, because I do read a lot more books than what is recorded for the podcast. So I really hope you guys like these, and I do think I'm going to have a little bit longer winded video. Maybe I'm going to try and make it kind of short, but since I am about to start book 20 of Freida McFadden, a lot of people are interested in her books and don't know where to start necessarily. So I am going to do all 19 of the books that I have read from her in a quick yes, no, or maybe book, and why I feel that way. So that is definitely one of my next videos that you guys are going to see here on the podcast soon. But yeah, I'm so sorry my mic ended up cutting off. When I re-record it, I will definitely give you guys a more in-depth feel, and I'm going to record it for an actual video, so you guys will get a more in-depth feel of what I think of Night and the Moth. But until then, I'm so sorry, my microphone really hates me. I am thoroughly thinking about doing that donation to see, I think to fix my mic it's about $120. Unfortunately, with doctor bills and new medical stuff that's been coming up lately with me, I'm unable to afford that. So that's why we're kind of doing the shit mic until we can, but I think it's like $120. So I don't know, I might, because I'm kind of tired of it just going out randomly. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go get some food and get some water. I hope that you guys do the same. I hope that you have a very wonderful day, and as always, let me know what you guys thought down below. Goodbye.